Hey guys, my name is Alex, and today I'm going to be drawing my life. It all started when my mom met my dad. She was working at a printing company, and he was her client. Their business meetups became lunch dates, and they ended up dating for a year. They decided they wanted to grow their family and started planning for me. She became pregnant at 38 years old. 3 months into their pregnancy, they decided they wanted to get married. My dad became a whole different person when he became a husband, and became very abusive while my mom was pregnant. So she pulled a Kim K and was married for only 3 months and 12 days and got the hell out of there. She moved in with my grandma at 6 months pregnant and gave birth to me on October 23rd, 1998 in Las Vegas, Nevada. A few months later, after getting the hang of motherhood, she moved out on her own. My father wasn't in my life and never made an effort to be in it. My mom didn't need a man to support us and made quite a bit of money on her own. She was a kick-ass mom and dad. Although we were living on our own, my grandma watched me a lot growing up, as my mom was a workaholic. She ended up getting into a bad car accident, which made her disabled. She had only 3 good discs left in her back, making her not being able to work anymore. This was a blessing in disguise, as she was able to be a stay-at-home mom with me, and we ended up having a very close relationship because of it. She wasn't able to do a lot because of her back, but we made it work. My mom needed extra help because of her disability, so my grandma and uncle played a huge part in my life. They lived across the street, and most of our days were spent together. My uncle got diagnosed with brain cancer at age 25. I was still in elementary school, so I didn't understand the severity of what this meant. I just knew Uncle D was very sick. A few months after, we ended up moving in with my uncle and grandma to stay close and help. My uncle and grandma were always close, but this is when they really became second parents to me. Although my uncle was battling cancer, he still came to every dad function at the school. This meant daddy-daughter dances, dads and donuts, and even waking up in the morning to cuddle and watch cartoons together. Still being in elementary school at this point, I didn't understand what chemotherapy was. My uncle began his treatments and things started changing. He would become very irritable and was always throwing up. Middle school began, and there was a quiet boy who sat behind me. We had one conversation all throughout middle school, and I never thought our paths would ever cross again. Little did I know, later on, he'd play a huge part in my life. Back to my home life, my uncle's tumor kept getting worse and worse, and things weren't looking good. I began missing out on a lot of school because of this, because family was more important. While most kids were playing outside, I was holding my uncle's hand in the hospital. I would read him poems while he slept, and we would cuddle in the hospital bed and sing our lungs out. I took a lot of my schoolwork home and self-taught a lot of my studies. I maintained straight A's somehow and was very proud of myself. I began getting picked on at school and didn't feel myself the little time I was there. To get my mind off of everything I was going through, I started dancing hip-hop and really found my passion. My grandma, mom, and uncle came to every show. They were always my biggest supporters. My uncle was in remission at this point in his cancer journey, and things were going really well. Freshman year came around, and I got accepted to a magnet high school for law and leadership. At this point in my life, I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer. That didn't really last too long. I got really involved in school. I joined cheer, student council, ROTC, and still was dancing outside of school. I got really terrible news that my uncle's tumor was back again, and I didn't fully believe it. I was in denial for a really long time and thought he would just go back into remission. At this point, he had battled cancer for 11 years, so I felt he was invincible. In reality, that wasn't the case, and he got put into hospice. He had done as much radiation as he possibly could, and the only thing left was to make him comfortable in his last few weeks here. This hit me really hard. I stopped going to school and quit all my school functions. I didn't drop out, but I had missed more school than I actually went, because all of our days were again spent in a hospital. Our entire family was there when my uncle took his last breath, and that was really hard to witness. I ended up finishing my freshman year with really bad grades, but somehow still passed. I transferred to my zone school to be closer to home, but still missed quite a bit of school. I was still grieving at this point and didn't know what to do with myself. After a lot of family counseling and learning how to cope, I found who I was again. I started dancing hip-hop and found an outlet to release my stress and emotions. Later that year, I saw that boy again who once sat behind me in middle school. Something intrigued me about him, and we started talking. Later we found out he had a huge crush on me in middle school, and I was now the one with a huge crush. We began dating and were inseparable. We would see each other day and night with late night calls and texts in between. We were each other's first loves, and a little bit later, at age 17, we found a whole new unexpected love. Our son. Being pregnant at such a young age was really challenging. We had no jobs and no responsibility, so we knew our life was about to change. We didn't want to be stereotypical teen parents and live off of our parents, so we immediately got jobs and started saving. I'm proud to say we didn't need any help from either of our parents because we worked our asses off. Telling Patrick I was pregnant is one of my best memories with him. He gave me a huge hug and told me we could do it, and we did. He went to every doctor's appointment with me and was my sidekick throughout it all. I decided to start my YouTube journey to save memories for my son. It's the best photo album I could make. I found so many girls who could relate to my story and developed a passion for editing and videography. My channel eventually evolved to more than just memories for my son, and I now have my channel to entertain. But I still maintain to keep memories for him. Fast forward, on March 7th of 2017, our biggest blessing was born. Grayson James Cloutier. I worked all the way up until I gave birth at a mini golf place and then took maternity leave to adjust while Patrick stayed working. We both graduated high school while having our baby boy. I took Grayson to school all the time. He was my biggest motivation. Having a child doesn't just change your life, but changes who you are as a person. We learned so much at such a young age. Becoming parents and still maintaining our relationship took a huge toll on us. We grew apart and eventually separated. We were so overwhelmed with this thing called parenthood and didn't communicate our feelings to each other. Luckily, the love was never lost, and 2 months after the breakup, we found out what we really had lost and decided we couldn't live without each other. We got back together and really focused on improving our relationship before moving back in together. During this time, we also focused on searching for better jobs so we can move on up in life and provide more for our son. We ended up finding really good jobs at a corporate office. Our relationship was doing really well, so I moved out of my mom's into his dad's house with him. It was much bigger and had more room for our family. We still paid rent, for our groceries, and obviously for any necessities for our family. Again, we were not dependent on our parents in any way, shape, or form. I still was very close with my family and visited a lot. My grandma and mom lived together and were the best grandmas ever to Grayson. Grayson had a special bond with my Nana, just like I did. One day, my grandma started feeling a bit off. She couldn't keep her eyes open and she ended up falling really bad. After going to the hospital, we found out she was sick with an infection. A day later, her body couldn't fight it off anymore and she ended up passing away unexpectedly. That hit our family really hard. Again. I had to stay strong not only for my mom, but for my son. He was only a few months old and had no idea what was going on. However, I'm so thankful she was able to meet my son in the first place. I'll always tell Grayson stories of his nan and carry her memory on. Still living with Patrick's family, we stayed there for a year and saved a lot. Right before our big move, we found even better jobs working as techs, which is what we currently do. Shortly after, we moved into our apartment and got a brand new car. Life was good. We were financially stable, had a place of our own, loved where we worked, and formed a really healthy relationship together. We worked as a team in everything we did. We decided we wanted to continue growing our family and start trying for another baby. At age 19. Everyone goes down different paths in life, and this is what we decided to do with ours. Being parents is the best thing that happened to us. With only a month of trying, we found out we were having another bundle of joy. We were thrilled. We didn't expect to get pregnant as fast as what we did, as we were wedding planning in the midst of this, and ended up just getting married, as we didn't want to wait any longer. I am now 20 weeks pregnant, and this is by far not the end of our journey, and I hope you stick around and continue living it right beside us. I love you guys so much and appreciate all the love you give our family. I hope you like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.